C tier. A big C tier. And obviously with all the teams I put in the C tier and that were from the U tier, like that's what you would expect. If it's normal distribution, you're going to have a fat number of teams in the middle of it. They are Minnesota Vikings with Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. Los Angeles Rams with obviously Kyren Williams, Blake Corum, and then just drafted Jarquez Hunter. Houston Texans with Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, Damian Pierce. Jacksonville Jaguars, Tank Bigsby, Travis Etienne, Bashul Tutin. Arizona Cardinals with James Conner, Trey Benson, Amari DiMercado. And then the Carolina Panthers to round it out with Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, Trevor Etienne, Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks may not factor in much this season coming off his second ACL tear, but that's your Panthers.
I like the C tier a lot here. This is like offenses that are fun to play with in Madden are in the C tier. Obviously, it's unfair to play with some of these A tier, B tier teams. Actually, no, I'm looking down. It's not too unfair. But the C tier is like the sweet spot, the honey hole here.
Yeah, Vikings, if you're in C tier, you're good. Like you're
in a really good spot.
You're in a good spot. You're not unhappy. You can win, and you could have a high-end running game if you have the rest of the pieces in place.
I'll start with a group that has potential to have a lot of upside this year from this tier, and that's the Houston Texans. Their floor is C tier, and I think that they do have a B plus tier ceiling. I'm not out on Nick Chubb yet, okay? It takes a long time. It takes a very long time, and we've been saying that historically about him. Joe Mixon is a MFing dog, okay? I love when that guy carries the football. There's a certain attitude and demeanor he has when he carries the football, and I feel like he's a guy you can just give it to him time and time again throughout the course of a game. And with hopefully an uptick in offensive production in the passing game this year, they're going to have ample opportunity to run some of these games out, run some of these teams out of the stadium. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Jaguars, interesting group there. ETN, obviously wildly talented. And with the new OC, with the new head coach there for the Jags, there's going to be a lot to look at for that running back room. I'm interested to hear what you think about that running back room, but I want to touch on the fact that I think James Conner from the Arizona Cardinals might be the most underappreciated star in the National Football League. It's like a Hollywood action hero when he runs the football, okay? It's like a 90s Arnold film when James Conner runs the football. Panthers, obviously, ton of fun, a lot of great names in that room, and they're only going to get better offensively. And I guess the last group that I'm going to talk about, which is the first group, is the Minnesota Vikings. Aaron Jones is a lot of fun. Good dude, got to hang out with him this past offseason. Smart guy, and I think he's somebody that is going to continue to help any offense he's on. Jordan Mason's a guy that we fell in love with last year. He kind of shot out of nowhere. And now he's on this roster. I think he showed us that he can take a lot of carries. He can be a big part of a running game. And with J.J. McCarthy at the quarterback position, you're going to need to lean on that run game. You're going to have to lean on the run game for the Minnesota Vikings. I anticipate they've got a really good run scheme dialed up for us this year.
All right, let me start with the Cardinals, because they, to me, were the hardest one to rank. Because James Conner, his career has been such an enigma. If you ask me, back when he was with Pittsburgh, where he started his career, years 2, 3, 4, when he was really the lead dog there, like what tier would I have put him in? They would have been like a D tier. I was never impressed with what he did. He was just kind of like a bigger bruising back, but didn't really impose his will enough, didn't break enough tackles, didn't have enough juice to really get you excited. His best 2 years of his career have been the past 2 seasons at 28 and 29 years old. He's turning 30 this year, but like only getting stronger, truly hitting his prime somehow. So last year, if you like, just in terms of where they were and the production they got out of the running back room, I would put him in the B tier, but it's like, he is 30 years old. Can he sustain this? And then Trey Benson, I loved him coming out of Florida State, but he looked like he didn't know what he was doing early on in the season. But then by the end of the season, I think you saw some flashes from him, and he provides a much more dynamic sort of athlete out of that position. Obviously, Conner still not explosive, but Benson was a 4.39 guy coming out of Florida State. Like, he can really scoot. So that backfield, I could see it being a B or even A tier if we get the same Connor and if Benson takes a big next step in year 2. Like, they were the hardest one to me to rank. The biggest wild card, though, was the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know what to make of this room of Tank Bigsby, Trevor Etienne, Bayshul Tootin, because athletically, I mean, Bayshul Tootin, one of the freakiest athletes to come out the running back position in recent years, a 4.32 guy, truly has elite explosive ability, but massive fumbling problem. We had 9 fumbles over the past couple seasons.
Yikes.
Tank Bigsby has some of the worst hands you'll ever see at the running back position. He has, for his career, only 8 catches compared to 5 drops. Like, the guy cannot catch a football. His rookie season was one of the worst rookie seasons I can remember. He had 2 fumbles on 5 carries, 3 drops on 4 targets. He just does not, like, he doesn't do anything outside of really run the football between the tackles well.
And he doesn't even do that extremely.
Right? So it's just a weird running back room, but there's so much talent in it that I trust Liam Cohen to find a role for each of those guys that's going to maximize their potential. Texans, to me, it just feels like they're just solid. You know what all of those guys are at this point. Joe Mixon, Damian
Except
Pierce.
for Nick Chubb.
Nick Pierce, you don't know, or excuse me, Nick Pierce. Nick Chubb, you don't know, because obviously coming off of one of the worst injuries you'll ever see, was not himself last year. But if anyone can do it, it's the guy that's literally already done it in Nick Chubb to come back and get back to form. So not going to write him off by any means. And you can't underestimate how much going from what Bobby Slowick was doing last year. I mean, Joe Mixon faced, talk about Brian Robinson, faced the lowest average box count. Joe Mixon faced the highest average box count of any running back, still averaged 4.1 yards per carry. That's a pretty good number, all things considered. And then we all know their offensive line was. So going from what they did last year with Bobby Slowick to what they're going to do this year with Nick Haley, I think could make that running back room just look better. The Rams was one where they're really close to the B tier. I think they are. I felt a little bad putting them here. I love Kyron Williams' game. He just doesn't have explosiveness. I love Blake Corum coming out. We just really didn't see a lot of him last year because they only lean on Kyron Williams, or did for most of last season. So they might be too low. But I'm going to have to see it to believe it. I'm going to have to see Kyron Williams' fumble issues, 8 fumbles the past 2 seasons, go away. And I'm going to need to see Blake Corum's usage go up a little bit more before I really buy into this Rams. And the last one, the Minnesota Vikings that I'll talk about. Aaron Jones in his prime was borderline A tier for me. You know, when he was really humming with the Green Bay Packers, I think he's been one of the most underrated backs in the league for a while now. But he turns 31 in December. He's already 30. He's had a lot of fumbles the past few years, and he's coming off the most rushing attempts of his entire career. You said it last year. They didn't have a plan B. I love that they added Jordan Mason. I think is a very underrated signing. They're not signing. I believe they traded for him this offseason. Very underrated addition to this roster. But I just don't think Aaron Jones, like I said, coming off the most of his career, 31 years old, is going to be the same guy we've seen. So that's why I put him in the C tier. That's good.
I like it.
Where we got 5 teams here. This is, if you're in this tier, you're very happy about your running back room. You're going into games saying, I can lean on this guy. You're basically, these are threats to the opposing team at this point. It's the Green Bay Packers with Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd, Emmanuel Wilson. The Tampa Bay Bucks, Bucky Irving, Rashad White, Sean Tucker. Miami Dolphins with Devon Achane, Jalen Wright. San Francisco 49ers, Christian McCaffrey, Isaac Guerrero, Jordan James. And then the New York Jets with Breece Hall and Braylon Allen.
I really enjoy this tier as well. There's great tiers out here. I will say that the thing that I really like about the running back rooms that we're seeing now is there's young superstars popping up here. Like, we see Bucky Irving on the list. He's a guy that I fell in love with just listening to you every Monday. Like, if I didn't catch a Bucs game, I would just listen to you describe the way that it got done. And I love that the running back position has not gone away. That's been the biggest farce, I feel like, in the last few years, is that running back stardom has gone out the window. Guys aren't getting paid. Obviously, there's guys like Saquon Barkley who do a great job for the cause. But guys like Josh Jacobs have been carrying the water for a long time. McCaffrey, who we were essentially without last year, is a guy who's carried the water in a huge way for the running back position. But there's guys like Isaac Guerrero, ready to step up. And now we see, last year we saw with the Niners, more often than not, every guy that carried the football was doing so behind Dominic Puni and was dominating with the football in their hand. And, star makers, great offensive coordinators, people that can put you in good spots. Josh Jacobs has played with a great offensive coordinator as of late. Bucky Irving was with one last year. The Dolphins running back room has dealt with a great coordinator. The 49ers have obviously one of the most brilliant minds in football. Now, the outlier here is the New York Jets.
I was waiting for that.
The outlier is the New York Jets. But my God, they got it right with Breece Hall a few years ago. And Braylon Allen can go. They've got to get these guys more opportunities. And obviously with Justin Fields, the running game is going to be the lifeblood of this football team. So they're going to get an opportunity to make an impression, develop an identity, get calloused early and often with the running game. The B tier is great, though. I really like this.
Yeah, I think anyone looking at the Jets and looking at the production of Allen last year at 3.6 yards per carry and Breece Hall at 4.2 and being like, why are they in this tier? I would just wait until this season. Wait until you see what happens with Tanner Engstrand at OC, with Justin Fields at quarterback, and some adults in that room, right? Calling plays. I think. Not saying Nathaniel Hackett's not an adult. Obviously, he's up there in age. What they did last year at the beginning of the season was a travesty. Breece Hall, with Nathaniel Hackett calling plays, averaged 3 yards per carry. The rest of the season, he averaged 4.9 after he got demoted. So, it was a Nathaniel Hackett problem. Breece Hall was still Breece Hall. Obviously, fumble issues, 6 fumbles. That's got to change. Wasn't an issue, though, early on in his career. I don't expect it to be going forward. So the Jets, he's still uber talented. I mean, after his rookie season, you would have been putting this in the A tier, right?
And Justin Fields is a guy that makes the running back room that much more dangerous.
Yes.
In the same way, it's like you go to a Japanese restaurant, okay? Sushi spot. You can get yourself a steak done the Japanese way, or you can get the A5 Japanese Wagyu. I would say that they're both from the same restaurant, Jaden Daniels and Justin Fields. But, the Jaden Daniels is the Wagyu. If you want a little flavor of what they're doing in terms of eye discipline for defenders, that's what they're going to be doing with the Jets. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a ton of the backfield action. And sometimes Justin Fields gets the ball. It's going to be a dangerous combo, and they're going to be just fine.
I think the one that maybe you could convince me to go higher, but it's just, to me, I need to see is the 49ers. I'm hedging here, obviously, with Christian McCaffrey and what we saw last year. Because after he came back from his Achilles tendonitis, that he was, this wasn't even B tier. He was like D tier. He did not have the juice. He did not have what we've come to expect from Christian McCaffrey, but obviously just the year prior, he was in the S tier of running backs. He was as good as it got in the league early on with the San Francisco 49ers. So I just don't know what to make of a 29-year-old coming off a torn PCL the way he had and all the injuries he had last year, even if I like their depth with Guerrero and Jordan James as well. Last one I'll touch on is just the Miami Dolphins. I think Devon Chan's caught a lot of flack for after the early hype, after his monster rookie season, for all the injuries he's had. He's gotten banged up a lot, but he is still, I think he gets, I won't say underrated, but just he is so dynamic as a receiver. Everyone knows that Jamar Chase won the Triple Crown last year. Does everyone know that Devon Achane was the Triple Crown at the running back position? He led all running backs in receptions with 78 yards with 592 and touchdowns with 6. He is truly, Christian McCaffrey was the mantle holder at the position for receiving ability. He's up to that level now.
It's funny to me that when you look around the league, the Monday check-ins that the average football fan has, they're like, okay, San Francisco 49ers, how did Christian McCaffrey do? What were his numbers? Okay, so he's the guy that you check in on. Devon Achane is not the guy that you check in on for the Dolphins. It's how many yards did Tyreek Hill have? Damn, he only had 76. Okay, what about the Rams? What did Stafford do? You skip over some of these players, and he's like the prime example of one of them. And he's getting it done in a non-traditional way. He's had 78 receptions, 592 yards, 6 touchdowns. Holy shit, that's impressive. And even guys like myself fail to realize that he had years like that because it's not the poppy, substantive, sexy thing.
Yeah. H-Hands, I mean, he is very dynamic and just hope he can stay healthy going forward. The last one I'll touch on, everyone knows Josh Jacobs, great bell cow. Emmanuel Wilson is a capable backup. I think a lot of people think Marshawn Lloyd, third rounder from a year ago, is just going to come in and waltz at number 2. Wilson was highly effective last year. In fact, he had the highest success rate of any running back in the NFL with 100 carries. Obviously not a big name by any means, but you watch this guy play and he can catch out of the backfield. He's effective in the screen game. I love his vision. I think he's got a little bit more juice than he gets credit for. So Emmanuel Wilson,
Okay.
a true like value add as a backup for that Green Bay Packers team.